Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm sitting here with Emmy. We just dropped the boys off at school. We're gonna talk all things house. Let's catch up. This is gonna be a big chatty video slash vlog, and we're gonna chat all things house. I'll give you the full rundown of everything that's gone on in the past. Now I feel like it's been about a month and a half. Fill you in on everything. That way we're all on the same page, and grab yourselves a drink or a snack or something, because it's probably going to be a long video because I like to chat. And we're gonna rewind. My brain, like with time and exactly when things happened, might be a little bit fuzzy, so you'll have to forgive me if my timing is a little bit all over the place. But I feel like the last time we talked about the house and the move and like all of that stuff was when I announced that we were moving, and that was a few months ago. I feel like that was back in February, and at that time we had been like looking at houses, I think on like through the apps and stuff. Maybe I had seen a house in person, can't quite remember. But shortly after I made that video, we went on the cruise, and then when we got back, I was like, okay, let's buckle in now. This is like the beginning of the season for home buying and like busy home buying, and so like let me like become really on top of trying to find listings right when they come up, because as most of you know, the housing market is still crazy. Now here's the thing. The good news is where we're moving, the housing market isn't as insane as it is where we currently live, which really worked in our favor for this particular circumstance. So we were able to, while we were on the cruise, we were able to like stage and list and do all the showings and get a offer for this house. So like this house was pretty much done in a weekend, which was amazing. Like, oh, so lucky. But again, like we live in an area that the housing market is still very competitive and there's very low inventory. So, okay, that all happened. So then it was like, okay, now we need to find a home. But as buyers, we were in a good position because we had an accepted offer on this house. And so we could put in stronger offers now as we look at properties moving forward. And where we're moving, it seems like, although the market is still competitive, and I wouldn't even say the inventory, it feels like the inventory is definitely higher than where we currently live. It's probably not like where it was pre-COVID, but there were a lot of options, and so like that felt good too. Okay, so what we were doing for the first few weeks was our realtor, who's been great, lives up there, and was going to, like, if we saw a listing that we were interested in, he would FaceTime us in, we'd check it out. And there were a few houses where it was like, okay, like we get that, like that's just not the house for us. Or if Jeff was up there working, Jeff would go with the realtor, check out a property, and nothing like was quite, like nothing was good enough or like had enough promise that like warranted me going up there. Do you know what I mean? Because like that's a lot, and I'm here with the kids. So I have a rat's nest in the back of my hair, by the way. You see all this is like just awful. So I digress. I can't, like, I feel like this was like now a few weeks after we got home from the cruise, a couple listings came up, and they were like very, very, very promising, and they came up in the same weekend, and I was like, oh, this definitely, like, we should go see these in person, because our realtor had checked them out, we saw the videos, and it was like, oh, these look really good. Okay, so Jeff and I decide in the same day, let's drive up, see these properties, and then we'll drive back, which isn't impossible to do. It's just a very long day, but these like properties were like promising enough that we thought it was worth it, right, Emmy? Right. So, and that trip we did not take any of the kids. We left the kids here because we were just going up and back in the same day. My in-laws were with them. So we go up. The first property was like brand new, very modern, was built in the past, I think like 4 or 5 years, and gorgeous. in a new build community. However, it was very small. And if you remember my other video where I announced that we were moving, my biggest talking point in that video was about how we were not going to compromise this go around, and how I was going to make sure that we had enough space. Because when we bought this house last year, this time last year, something that we realized right when we moved in was, oh my gosh, this isn't enough space for us. Like, this is really, really tight. And granted, at the time, we only had 2 kids. I was about to give birth, so like 2 weeks later. But even then, it was like, this is too tight. We need more space. And we have 2 very active little boys, and now we have another very active little girl. So we were going back and forth a little bit. I was holding my ground, like, this is great. Even with an unfinished basement, this is like, it's still gonna feel tight on space. Jeff really liked that property. He really loved, like, the kitchen was beautiful. It was brand new, very modern and sleek. The fireplace was like one of those like full concrete slab, like full concrete fireplaces, so it like looked really cool. Bathrooms were cool. Downside, primary bedroom was downstairs, and then there were 2 bedrooms upstairs, and then we'd have to look at finishing the basement and putting a bedroom for our parents when they come and visit down in the basement, plus like a playroom. And so, okay, we saw that house and it was beautiful, but I was like, ooh, this is too, I'm feeling like this is too small. So then we go to the second house, and I was really, really hoping for this house because it was in probably the number, like the school district that I wanted the most, and like the one that it was one of the top school districts, and great community, good location. So like all of those things that when you're house hunting, you are trying to prioritize, because you can't change those things. You can change paint color, you can change, you know, aesthetic stuff in the house. I mean, you can even change big things in the house, give or take. But you can't change location, you can't change school district. So that was like a huge thing with this house, because I was like, okay, this is perfect, love it. So we get to the house. It's like a 2005 Colonial, which pull on my heartstrings. That's like, ooh, I love it so much. Love it so much, I eat it up. Love 2005 Colonial, that era of house. You walk in, you got the big staircase, you've got the like mid-toned, very like honey colored wood floors. You've got the dining room that leads into you've got the formal dining room, I should say, that leads into the kitchen. You've got a formal sitting area, you know, like all of that stuff that was big in the early 2000s, maybe even in the 90s when like we were growing up. That's like what my parents' house sort of looks like. So I was like all about it, right? And this house in particular, we walked in and had a very strong scent, and not a bad scent, it was just very strong. I'm like very sensory first, especially in like big moments and like anxious moments like that, and it was like, oh, okay, this is a strong scent, but like it's not a bad scent, it's just like, you know, like everyone's house has a scent. And then we're looking around, and like, you know, I could tell that aesthetically, like, it's not Jeff's taste. He's getting nervous with like all of the aesthetic stuff that needs to get done, but I'm reminding him that, like, you know, okay, that's kind of easy stuff. But the more we're in the house, the more we're noticing that like the wear and tear, like clearly this is a very well loved home, which you want. Like you love that. Like I love that. I love knowing that like this family's been in this house for 20 plus years. It's well loved. Kids grew up in this house. Like that, all of that stuff is amazing, and I love that for the family, and I would love that for us as like we're journeying forward into like a new property. However, when you're buying a home, you also want to be smart about it and responsible. And it was like, okay, these, like a lot of these baseboards are just like, they've seen a lot, and like paint colors, yeah, they need to be changed. And like kids' bedrooms, again, they've seen a lot, and they've seen a lot of wear and tear. And so like, what are we, like, we might have to do some new drywalling. Bathrooms were very outdated, and the primary suite had I think it was linoleum flooring, and so it was just like all of a sudden the aesthetic stuff started to like increase. And coming from a property where we just did a lot of renovation, it was like, oh, I don't like this is becoming to be a lot. Like, and then all the carpets upstairs needing to get replaced. Okay, fine. So we're chatting about it in the kitchen, and then we notice that under the sink there was water damage, and the basement was unfinished. Which, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is so annoying because, you know, like, we'll have to finish it. It's not off the table, but I really didn't want us to have to finish a basement. I would love a finished basement. Anyway, thank goodness it was unfinished, because when we then went down into the basement, we could see, because the kitchen was right above the basement, we could see all the water damage in the boards and sort of like coming then down the side. And so that was worrisome and like was going to be an issue. And then when we went outside and did a walk around the perimeter, we noticed that where the driveway met the garage, so where the driveway pavement met the concrete of the garage, there were these ginormous potholes. So like major water damage is what then we were told. And so like, and I don't know, I'm not like a house person. I don't know if something like that is an easier fix, but something told me like, oh, that's not. Like huge potholes where your driveway is meeting your garage, like major divot, like that just, it was red flags. And so all of those things together, it was like unfortunate that we left that weekend and that like big day of driving with not putting an offer in on either house. But it felt good to like exercise that restraint. And then literally 2 days later, I saw a property, and I had seen the property a few days prior, but it had the wrong school district listed. So a huge tip I'll give if you are in the house buying, looking for a house, doing the whole thing, is to check listings on various websites. Check Zillow, check, we're using Compass, or check other different websites too, because sometimes things can be listed incorrectly on one site and then be listed correctly on a different site. Or what happened was like the school district was listed incorrectly, but then it had the correct school district like almost in fine print in a different section. It was a little confusing. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, the school district that's listed isn't one that I wanted us to be in, but the one that is sort of like in the fine print is one that I'm okay with. And so like we had our real estate agent clarify with the listing agent, and it turned out that the school district for the home, we also called the school district, talked to the register just to really make sure, and it turned out that the school district that the house is in is actually one of the ones that we are considering, and that was on like the list of ones that we were interested in. And so that was really exciting, but it was like literally 2 days after we had just been up there. So we decided that we would go back up because it was like that beautiful of a home, and our real estate agent did a walkthrough. We were like, okay, we need to go up. So like I think literally we had made the drive there and back on a Wednesday, and then on Friday we decided that we have to go up and see this house. So we went up, we took Emmy with us because we spent the night, and we saw the house, and that ended up being the house. It ended up being our house. So we go up, we see this house. Amelia, no honey, no. Yeah, you are so cheeky. Yeah, I know, I see. Oh my gosh, she's so funny and so cheeky. Okay, so we see this house and it's beautiful. It like checks all the boxes. It's 4 bedrooms plus a finished basement. So it's not like we have to make the basement into another bedroom. It's 4 bedrooms. We need that guest room so that way when our parents come and visit us, they have somewhere to stay. All the bedrooms are upstairs, which is just something that like I grew up with and I really love and gravitate toward. All the bedrooms are upstairs. There are so many little gems in this house of like little things that I had always like dreamed of in a home, or had like recently been introduced to, that I was like, wow, I can't believe this house has those things. Like it checked all the boxes. So we put in an offer. There was a little bit of negotiating back and forth, but our offer was accepted, which was incredible and such an amazing feeling. And we have a house. We have a house. So that was the big story of like us finding this house. And honestly, looking back at it now we're not closed yet on the house. We've got a few more weeks until closing. So like, you know, they say nothing is a signed, sealed, delivered deal until closing. But we are on the other side of like all of the inspections and all of the stuff that like, you know, gives you a little bit of anxiety when you are buying a home. And so it feels now like now we're just waiting until closing, and knock on wood, everything goes well between now and then, fingers crossed, and we should be good. We should be good. So it's very exciting. I have not seen the house since I've obviously seen pictures and videos and stuff, and Jeff was there for the inspection, but I personally haven't been in the house since we toured it before we put an offer in on it. But even just touring it, it is so beautiful. It's so perfect for us in this season of life because it has the space that we need, but it doesn't feel massive. I also love that it's in a community, and I think moving to a brand new community, that's going to be really special and necessary, because something I've learned about myself is that I actually really like... Emmy, come here, head. Sorry, this girl was like halfway to Canada, right? You were halfway to Canada. I was just going to say that, especially moving somewhere brand new that I've never lived before, community-wise, town-wise, city-wise, and being far away from our family and our friends, I think living in a community close to other people is going to be necessary for me to feel connected and to not feel so alone. And, you know, hopefully we have lovely neighbors, and hopefully we're able to create a network of people so that it doesn't feel so lonely, because there certainly were properties up there that had, and I think a lot of people that move further away from big cities, like the whole thing is like, oh, I want land and I want space and I don't want to be able to see my neighbors, and like, yes, in a certain, yes to all of that. I could, you know, that's not where I am. That's not where I want to be, but like I get it. But for us, it was like kind of the opposite. Like, we're moving somewhere brand new. I want to know that there are people around, and like people nearby who could, like, you know, who could be around in case I need somebody, you know. Yeah, no. We gonna make friends? Are we gonna make friends? Yeah, we're gonna do it. Where's your milk? Where's your bottle? So yes, friends, that's the story. Long video, but I wanted to give you all the deets. So we're moving in a few weeks. The good news is that we're closing on this house and closing on our other house, like in succession, but we're not actually moving us and the kids until the end of June. So we'll still be here for the month of June. We're gonna move our stuff at the beginning, toward the beginning of June, and get the house all ready and stuff for the kids. But my biggest thing when all of this was happening initially was like, I want the kids to be able to finish school down here, if possible, right? And it was possible. So I want Hugo, specifically because I think Theodore finishes school at the beginning of June, like the first week of June. I want Hugo to be able to finish kindergarten here. He's made so many wonderful friends. We have such like a little community here. He loves his teachers. I think he's a very easygoing. If it wasn't absolutely necessary for us to take him out of school for the last month, then I didn't want to force that, you know? So we will stay down here so he can finish school, and then we'll move up. And what's really nice is the house should be, I mean, it's not gonna be completely unpacked and like put away and stuff, but like beds will be made and enough stuff, dressers will be put together, enough things will be in place that I think when we move at the end of June with the kids, it'll feel like they're home. Like they'll see their toys, they'll see their bed, they'll see everything and feel, and like hopefully that'll help with the transition, because I know it'll be hard and it'll be different. So that's it, friends. That's everything. If you have any questions, I'm sure we'll chat about it more in vlogs and stuff. You can leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, friends.